Live from Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I am Felicity Ezewike. The top stories tonight. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Obidient Movement, slam FCT Council election outcome. At least 10 killed in fresh attacks on 2 communities in Riyom local government area of Plateau State. UK police arrest ex-envoy Peter Mandelson in Epstein case just days after ex-Prince Andrew's detention.
In business, Nigeria advances $5.7 billion China investment talks to power industrial growth.
And in sports, UEFA hand out 1-match suspension to Benfica winger Gianluca Prestiani following last week's racism allegation in a UEFA Champions League match. Details later.
Welcome. Tonight begins now. We'll begin tonight with political matters. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has condemned the low turnout in Saturday's FCT Area Council elections as a sign that democracy is under threat. He highlighted the shocking 7.8% turnout in Abuja Municipal Area Council, averaging below 20% overall, and called it a verdict on the current administration. Atiku accused the Tinubu-led government of shrinking democratic space through intimidation and harassment of opposition voices, labeling it a chokehold suffocating the republic. He warned of irreversible damage if unchecked, urging opposition parties to unite and rescue Nigeria's democracy. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party councillorship candidate for City Centre Ward, Lovett Ezeko, has officially rejected the results of the just concluded FCT Area Council elections held on Saturday. Addressing a press conference in Abuja, Ezeko congratulated the re-elected AMAC chairman Christopher Michaelangu, but insisted that the councillorship poll was marred by widespread irregularities and figure manipulation at the collation centers. She claimed that while her team won convincingly at the polling units, the results were altered to favor the winner and the All Progressive Congress candidate, highlighting specific instances of electoral fraud. Apologies for the poor audio quality. We're going to stay with the FCT Area Council polls. The Obidient Movement has faulted the conduct of the just concluded election, alleging irregularities and institutional compromise. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the group claimed there was low voter turnout and accused the electoral body of changing some polling units on election day, thereby creating confusion. The group also alleged that the FCT minister restricted movement of voters, describing the situation as intentional disenfranchisement.
Experience low turnout. It has been a recurring decimal. That during the area council election we have a low turnout. We really want to know, I think this is a question we need to ask, why is it that at the 11th hour we have a situation where INEC will be changing the goalposts? People who knew where that their polling unit used to be, on the day of the election, there was no information. If there was going to be something like, we expect that 2 weeks before the election, you make a publication that this and this and this has been changed, so that people will go and know their new voting unit. But it's surprising that on the day of the election.
Meanwhile, the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, has hailed President Bola Tinubu for the peaceful conduct of Saturday's area council elections, saying the outcome has shown to Nigerians the ruling party and the real opposition party in the country. In a special broadcast on Sunday evening, the minister said the peaceful conduct of the election was a testament to the commitment of the people of the FCT to democracy and good governance. The minister, who said the election further exposed the hypocrisy of people who go about buying corn and granite from roadside sellers for the purpose of the campaign, just to deceive Nigerians. Paul Ibe is the media aide to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. He joins us now from our Abuja studio to review the council election and the party's position. Thank you very much for joining us. The APC dominating 5 councils and PDP securing just 1 in what I understand used to be some sort of tough for the PDP. And then we have it also sweeping in Kano and Rivers by-election. Does this reflect genuine voter preference? And what are the chances of the opposition, especially the ADC, considering their performance over the weekend?
Thank you for having me. I think what is concerning, what we should be concerned about with the weekend election is the fact that the FCT council elections, even the by-elections in Kano, appears to be a rejection, of democracy. Leading up to this election, a lot of things have been done that no longer gives confidence, to voters. I mean, you saw the electoral, the electoral act. Nigerians had, demanded for mandatory, electronic transmission of results, and what they had was a hybrid. And you can see that with some of the results that are already out there in the public domain, including the ones that I had reviewed on the IREF, shows clearly why they did what they did. You saw a lot of results that looked like the results from Rivers State in 2023, results of the governorship election in Ondo State, we say where 6 has been changed to 60, and all those kind of things. And one was expecting that this would be the litmus test for, the new INEC, chairman and his, and the leadership. And but unfortunately, I mean, for something as basic as a council election, they failed because the election was still characterized by the same this thing.
It's somewhat funny though that same exercise is being complimented as a reflection of. I mean, the president has said it was has given kudos to those who participated in the exercise. Let's talk about your party's position on this matter. We understand that you've constituted a special legal team to challenge the election results from the council polls. With the fact that there are contrasting views, your party claims, there was widespread, I mean, there was cheating in the exercise, and then you have the APC saying they were happy because they won. What are your chances? What do you think the outcome will be should you choose to pursue?
If this is the road that we're going to travel to 2027, it shows clearly that the Tinubu administration is gradually, killing democracy because there appears to be no appetite, from Nigerians. They're not interested because this is an election that has not been held, in consonance, with the law, with the guidelines and all of that. Look at, for example, never in the history of the FCT council elections have we have a situation where there is restriction of movement. And that came very late, in the day. What happens to people whose, polling booths, were very far, from where they were? Maybe it was a calculated effort to ensure that, the turnout was minimized. And, like I said, clearly, this shows that Nigerians, are beginning to reject.
I'm actually asking you specifically about your legal action. I mean, a team has been announced to challenge the verdict.
Yes, we will challenge, that election. We will challenge the election. But let me say something going forward. And specifically, I'm speaking about 2027. The mantra has always been go to court. But let me put it on record that with the 2027 elections, Nigerians are saying, and they are being mobilized by the, the coalition leaders of the ADC, that the elections shall be settled in the 8,089, wards across the country, over 176,000 polling units, the 36 states and the 774 level. It will be settled at those polling units. And
okay. Ahead of that exercise, there is something that we also need to address. And analysts are saying that there was widespread voter apathy. And then we also have reported cases of vote buying. The EFCC arrested 20. That's the reports we have, and recovered about 17 million naira as the confirmation that this actually happened. You're looking at 2027. How will we address the apathy part of the equation? I mean, it's not just for the APC now, because the turnout affected the PDP and other parties as well.
Listen, no matter whatever you do, for as long as you continue to weaponize poverty, for as long as you continue to decimate the opposition parties, for as long as you think that you should have a chokehold, on the opposition, you will continue to get the situation that you got, in the weekend election. Nigerians will not be interested because they clearly, their thinking will be that we know the end from the beginning. Nothing good is going to come, out of this process, and that's a very dangerous, situation that that we face. People are saying, "Oh, it's council election, it's off-season election, voter turnout is low." No, I beg to disagree. This is the clearest indication that Nigerians appear to be rejecting democracy on account of all of the policies that the Tinubu administration, has unveiled in the last 3 years or thereabouts.
I suspect you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. Agree that with the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has accused the APC of having a chokehold and warning of irreversible damage if the party persists turning Nigeria into democracy in name only. I know, confirm that, and then talk to Nigerians about the strategy to change this narrative. We can't keep complaining that one party is dominating. What is the PDP doing to give a counter narrative?
Listen, the APC is in government. Their policies are the policies that are affecting, Nigerians, whichever way you look at it. Okay? They came with a very unpopular, amendment, to the Electoral, Act, which is the hybrid, of both manual. And we know that that is an invitation, to rigging. They want to legitimize, the process of rigging. And we saw that clearly with some of the results that are already out there in the public domain, mutilated, results that have been, that as if, where you have, youngsters, young children, painting, as like in school, primary school children, painting. That's exactly the kind of result that we are having. In a democracy, in Africa's most black, the most populous nation in Africa, with a new INEC leadership led by Professor Amopita, that was supposed to turn the corner and be able to show confidence. Clearly, there appears to be little to indicate that Professor Amopita would do any better than Ambassador Mahmoud Yakub.
All right, Mr. Paul Ibe, thank you very much for obliging us tonight. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Nice having me.
Coming up, 6 injured as fire breaks out at Murtala Mohammed International Airport. We have details of this and other stories after the break. You're watching tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Obidient Movement, slammed FCT Council's election outcome. At least 10 killed in fresh attacks on 2 communities in Riyom local government area of Plateau State. UK police arrest ex-envoy Peter Mandelson in Epstein case just days after ex-Prince Andrew's detention. A massive fire erupted Monday afternoon at Terminal 1 of Murtala Mohammed International Airport. The blaze, which started around 3:30 p.m., significantly impacted the old terminal, currently undergoing reconstruction. Fan and last summer, emergency crews are working to contain the inferno. While the cause remains unknown, authorities confirmed that no life was lost in the incident. They say the airspace is currently closed, halting all arrivals and departures. Airport workers and passengers are being evacuated as firefighting teams struggle to bring the raging fire under control. Let's head on now to Plateau State. The National Orientation Agency is mourning over 35 miners killed in a devastating explosion at an illegal mine in Plateau State. NOA Director General Lanre Issa Onilu called the Kampani Zurak tragedy completely unacceptable, blaming unauthorized operations and poor safety standards. The agency is demanding stricter enforcement of mining regulations and nationwide inspections to halt future infernos. NOA extended condolences to families, urging Nigerians to shun reckless practices causing such national trauma. Staying in the state, armed bandits launched coordinated attacks on Joel community and Dorowa Bajuje in Riyom local government area on Sunday night, killing at least 10 persons between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. National President of the Birom Youth Molders Association, Solomon Dalyop, disclosed this, revealing that 9 people were killed, while 1 person lost in Dorowa Babuje, while 1 person lost his life in Joel during the separate but near simultaneous attacks. According to Dalyop, the assailants who attacked Joel arrived on motorcycles from the Manga axis despite early warnings issued to security agencies about the possible movement in that area. However, the Commissioner of Police in Plateau State says calm has been restored in the troubled area of Dorowa Babuje and Rope districts in Bankin Ladi and Riyom local government areas of Plateau State, respectively. In Ondo State, a massive manhunt is underway for the killers of the Alagamo of Agamo, who was murdered by suspected bandits during an attack on his palace in Akure North local government area. Security operatives have intensified efforts to track down the assailants following the February 18 attack that has left the community in mourning. News Center's Emmanuel Ulubobokun reports.
Say they responded swiftly to distress calls, deploying tactical teams to the area. Officers from the state command moved into the palace and adjoining communities to secure the scene and commence investigations. Local security outfits, including Atulishe Security, hunters, and Amotekun operatives, have joined in the manhunt, combing nearby bushes and forest areas in search of the attackers.
Military, civil defense, and DSS, we went to the community for the spot assessment. Getting there, we were shown the track, the bush track that the hoodlums followed, where they shot at the monarch before they eventually dragged him somewhere and clubbed him to death. The younger brother to the monarch, to the deceased, and community members of the community, they gave us this information that we are going to work on. We appreciate them for giving that information. In our efforts to get the perpetrators of that heinous crime arrested. The good people of Ondo State, they've tested, trusted, and accepted us. They know anytime we swing in action like that, we waste no time in getting the perpetrators arrested. The record is there for them, so they have that confidence in us. But I want to assure them that in no time we'll get them arrested. All we're asking them is to give us actionable and credible information that will assist us in the investigation.
Residents described the late monarch as a peaceful and widely respected traditional ruler, whose reign was defined by unity, stability, and community development. They also described how the monarch was killed.
It happened last night, and some young guys with full ammunition came in to the Kabiyesi Palace. They met him in his office around 7 6:30 p.m. and they didn't ask anything from him. They started shooting continuously, like 15 minutes without stopping. And they realized that the bullet is not penetrating. They have to bring out the machete and started cutting the cabisi, and it's not enter. They went ahead and dragged him and used the gun, hit him in the stomach. That's how the cabisi fall down. And they dragged him and they took him to that place and used stick and just hit his head. That's how the cabisi died.
Authorities say efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing suspects. Security presence has also been strengthened across Accra North to prevent further attacks and reassure residents. In Ondo, for News Central, Emmanuel Olubobogun.
Still on insecurity, bandits have killed 2 soldiers and a vigilante in a daring attack on a military base in Guana community, Bauchi State. The assault targeted the Joint Task Force outpost in Alkaleri local government area on Sunday night. Police spokesperson Nafiu Habib confirmed 3 residents were also abducted during the raid. The police spokesperson further disclosed that additional security personnel had been deployed to the area to restore calm, safeguard displaced residents, and forestall further attack. For more on this, I'm joined by Rhoda Pomack, chairperson, Stand Up for Women, Plateau Chapter, and politics and security expert, Dr. Aminu Hayatu. Thank you very much for being here. I'll start with you, Doctor. I mean, we had from the mines to invasion to the killing of a monarch and all of that. Plateau youth protested earlier. It took the intervention of the police to get them off the streets to stop, restore some peace. What are your fears with this continuing attack, and what are we continuing to miss, particularly in Plateau State?
Okay, thank you for having me. And I think for a very long time, we've observed patterns in these attacks. And unfortunately, because the authorities in Nigeria have not been able to curtail these attacks in the best way that they should be handled, we are seeing, a spread and changing dynamics of the attacks. Initially, we know that there are conflict zones where bandits, and clash between communities, lead to having casualties in different communities and states, in Plateau, in Benue, in Kaduna, and other similar places. But what we are seeing now, is a spreading and changing pattern in these attacks. And it is no more limited to these hinterlands. It has started affecting, different areas, unexpected areas, we hear of these attacks. And I think there's a blatant failure, in the way that the authorities of the Nigerian state actually handle the issue of security. And I don't think in any near time that we are going to see, a change or an improvement in the security of the lives and properties of the people, because it is no more a news story that every day we record casualties, and it has become business as usual. Nobody is even concerned anymore about the intensity of these, attacks. And now it is spiraling to different communities, and leaders are also being attacked. This is not the first time that monarchs and traditional rulers are being attacked by armed bandits, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. It is very unfortunate, and it is already producing a cycle of, reprisal, because people in these communities are not likely to sit down and fold their arms while they are being killed on a daily basis.
True. I'm going to come to that and ask you, because before I ask you about the people's reaction, I want to bring in Rhoda and just talk about the fact that this is not the first time we hear there was pre-information, there was intelligence that a likely attack was going to occur, considering the plane we're talking about? Why were there no security posts, for instance? Is there no network that has been developed over time? Is there sabotage here? What are your thoughts, Rhoda?
Thank you for this privilege given to me. This attack in Plateau State is a strategic, especially when it comes to the women and children. They are the most vulnerable. Honestly.
Okay, I think we have a bit of a challenge with Rhoda's network, so I'll stay with Dr. Hayatu. You were talking earlier about the people not folding their arms. We saw a semblance of their reaction earlier today when the youths blocked the road. What are your fears that if these attacks are not checked by relevant authorities, that we may see more worrisome developments from the young?
Yes, that's what I was telling you. And who does the security information help? It is expected that a country like Nigeria must have by now a complex, security in such a way that intelligence could be able to track, the happenings of the planned activities regarding these attacks and killings. But unfortunately, it has always been the usual way. The security apparatus only react when these attacks have happened and casualties are recorded without any, further action to either, investigate these killings and bring perpetrators to book. We have seen a number of killings across different communities, both in the north central and even in the northwest, and even now in the southwest. But most of the time, we have always had the security, personnel expressing their dismay about the killings, and that ends it without any, further action or bringing to book these perpetrators. We've not seen the results of investigations. We've not seen people being, prosecuted. We've not seen arrests being made. We've always only seen the security agencies, reacting after the damage must have been done. And this becomes the usual way that the security apparatus in Nigeria operate. And I think the societies that are permanently in this crisis have begun to develop, resistant measures, part of which, if action is not taken by government, there will be serious civil arrest, because people will not fold their arms and see their loved ones being killed and their communities being, sacked without any action. Promises, endless promises by government have proved abortive in the way that this security menace is being handled in Nigeria. And I don't think that there is any society apart from Nigeria which experiences this nature and pattern of attacks and killings for a very long time without measures being taken seriously by the government. We've got all the funding that is provided. Happens in the National Assembly, budgets provided with money to curtail this insecurity, but we've not seen development. In fact, the situation has deteriorated.
Yeah, Doc, I'm sorry to interject, but we're really out of time on this conversation. Your concerns and most of the Nigerians are valid, that the youths are worried as to the responses and the assurances all the time. The police comes and assures after the event. We're hoping for the best, I guess. Thank you for obliging us tonight. All right, we also have Rhoda Pomag. Unfortunately, we could not speak with her because of the network, but I want to say a very warm thank you to Rhoda for even sparing the time to talk to us. Still ahead, South Sudan's opposition alleges that government forces carried out a massacre in Ondo State. Details shortly. Following allegations of complicity by the Department of State Services in a recent case of abduction, forceful conversion and marriage by staff of the department, the Arewa Youth Assembly has dismissed the rumors and claims making the rounds as misleading, baseless and misrepresenting the facts on the ground. Speaker of the Assembly, Mohammed Danlami, spoke to newsmen in Abuja saying that Walida Abdul Hadi, a 22-year-old Nigerian allegedly abducted from Hadeja in Jigawa State, was never kidnapped by the said DSS operative, but instead rescued after being trafficked to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja.
Has no tolerance for indiscipline. You are aware that 115 of their staffs were sacked, and if you go to their website, you will see this. It is illegally correct to claim that an agency has disobeyed a court order when the same agency has lawfully approached the court to seek a review, variation or vacation of the order, and is waiting the court's ruling. And I forgot to add to you that Walida, on her response by herself, she said she will not go with her parents because of the threat of her life by her uncle. And what she even told her.
Ondo State is making a bold economic statement as top political leaders and captains of industry converge on Akure, the state capital, for the Ondo Investment Summit 2026. Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa says the summit is aimed at attracting private investment to drive development and job creation. My colleague, Victor Mbadike, has more.
It was a gathering of influence and investment ambition as business leaders converged at the International Events and Conference Center on Monday in Akure to chart a new economic path for Ondo State.
It has been a wonderful session.
The summit is part of the state government's broader strategy to embrace private sector-led growth. Governor Ayedatiwa says the time has come to convert potential into prosperity.
We are simplifying processes. We are strengthening institutions. We are improving transparency. We are accelerating approvals. We are removing all the bottlenecks, all the bureaucratic processes, and that is why we have UNDIPA. Investors go to where there is structure, certainty, and political will. And Ondo State offers all the three.
If we can't believe in our country, it's not easy to ask foreign investors to come in and invest in our own country. Those of us who hail from this part of the world should believe in our own.
If you don't have a structure, we won't measure any structure that you are leaving behind. If you don't have a system, we simply just say, he was a very good governor, but he didn't have a system. So the system must be there.
The most kept secret of Africa is Ondo State. It's Ondo State. And it's no longer a secret because many of you in this room now know about it. And that's why you are here. It's untapped.
The signing of a memorandum of understanding between the state government and leading investors signals transition from dialogue to concrete action.
We are coming into Ondo State with an investment of about $4 billion. And thank God we've gotten all the cooperation and the support that any investor can need from the state. So I wish to congratulate first the governor of Ondo State and then the people of Ondo State.
Economic planning and budget.
Ondo's investment conversation are being framed as the foundation for long-term economic transformation. Residents will be watching closely to see whether these commitments will result into tangible benefits for Ondo State. In Nakure, for News Central, Victor Mbadike.
Now to stories in other parts of Africa. South Sudan's opposition has alleged that government forces carried out a massacre in Jonglei State, killing at least 25 civilians, including women and children, in Panko Village State during a Saturday incident. The incident occurred in Ayot County, where fighters reportedly lured villagers with a false promise of aid before opening fire in a crowded shelter. And in London, the Metropolitan Police on Monday arrested Peter Mandelson, Britain's former ambassador to the United States, on suspicion of misconduct in public office. This is amid an ongoing investigation linked to his relationship with convicted financier Jeffrey Epstein. Officers, without naming him, in line with UK practice, detained the 72-year-old and took him to a London police station for interview following search warrants at 2 locations. Business, sports and entertainment news is next when we return.
Now, the federal government of Nigeria has moved to secure up to $5.7 billion in prospective investments from China aimed at strengthening critical sectors, including the power generation, mining and industrial manufacturing sectors. Now, the Ministry of Finance disclosed this. Well, Finance and Coordinating Minister Wale Edun hosted a high-level delegation from China's GCL Group, led by Senator Orji Uzokalu in Abuja on Monday, to advance talks on the proposed inflows. According to the ministry's announcement, the package under discussion would support large-scale energy projects, local mineral processing and new factories designed to boost domestic production, stimulate job creation and expand export capacity. Let's look at the equities market now. The week opened with a steady upside as the all-share index climbed 0.64% to close at 196,263.55 points, with the market capitalization being nudged 125.96 trillion naira. Well, this advance came with a sharp pickup in participation as volume turnover and deals all improved significantly. We now look at sectoral performance. We start with the banking sector that we see advance 1.44% right here, with renewed bids in Zenith Bank and GTCO reinforcing the sector's leadership role. Insurance surged 3.42%, the day's most aggressive performer as investors rotated decisively in the space. Well, we see a drop in oil and gas 0.2%, a mild pullback that suggested profit taken after recent positioning. While consumer goods edged down 0.11% too, reflecting cautious sentiment in defensive counters, while industrial goods gained 1.3%, supported by steady strength in Dangote cement. That's it on business. I am Lekon Obanjo.
Hello and welcome to sports. Benfica's Gianluca Prestiani has received a provisional one-match suspension after Real Madrid's Vinicius Jr. reported alleged racist abuse during last week's Champions League meeting. It means the Argentine winger is set to miss the second leg of the tie in Madrid on Wednesday. UEFA has imposed the ban on a provisional basis pending the result of a full investigation by an ethics and disciplinary inspector. The European governing body said further punishment could be handed out once that investigation is completed. Vinicius told referee Francois Lectessier that he had been racially abused by the Argentina winger during the first leg of their Champions League knockout phase playoff tie in Lisbon last Tuesday. Prestiani has denied racially abusing the Brazilian, and Benfica said they would appeal against the decision. Still on football, British police said on Monday they are investigating abhorrent racist abuse directed online at 4 Premier League footballers last weekend, including Wolves Nigerian international striker Tolu Arokodare and Sunderland midfielder Romain Mundle were the latest players to be targeted on Sunday, with Chelsea's Wesley Fofana and Burnley's Hannibal Mejbri suffering similar abuse on Saturday following a 1-1 draw between their clubs. Arokodare missed a penalty in Sunday's 1-0 defeat at Crystal Palace and subsequently received racist messages from several accounts. Sunderland later revealed Mundle had endured similar attacks following his substitute appearance in a 3-1 loss to Fulham. The Premier League has issued a statement warning of serious consequences for those found guilty of abuse. And finally, organizers of the Mexican Open tennis tournament say the event will go ahead despite violence following the death of the country's most wanted drug baron. Nemesio Seguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, died in custody on Sunday after being captured by Mexican special forces. He was seriously injured in clashes between his supporters and the army in the central western state of Jalisco on Sunday. The Mexican Open starts on Monday in Acapulco, which is in Guerrero, one of the 5 Mexican states where the U.S. government has warned its citizens to shelter because of the violence. Members of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, one of the most powerful and feared criminal organizations in Mexico, have torched businesses and erected burning blockades since El Mencho's death. And that's all we have on sports tonight. Up next is entertainment with Sam Dandy.
And now in entertainment, Nigerian singer Simi has publicly addressed online backlash after controversial old tweets involving her and husband Adekunle Gold resurfaced and circulated widely on social media. Some users described the years-old post as disturbing, reigniting criticism and sparking heated debate across digital platforms. Responding firmly, Simi rejected the accusations, stating, "I've never been depraved in my life," stressing that the narrative being pushed does not reflect her character or values. Simi clarified that the tweets posted when she was 23 were never written from a place of perversion, that she was not famous then and did not anticipate how her words could have affected, of course, weaponized years later. Now, the controversy highlights how digital footprints can resurface and reshape public perception years later, as well as discussions about cancel culture. Well, that's the biggest story in entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
As we wrap things up, a quick recap of our major stories. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Obidient Movement, slammed FCT Council election outcome. At least 10 killed in fresh attacks in 2 communities in Riyom local government area of Plateau State. We also told you that the UK police has arrested the ex-envoy Peter Mandelson in Epstein case just days after ex-Prince Andrew's detention. Do send us your eyewitness report to the number showing now on your screen. You can follow us on all platforms at News Central TV. You can choose to watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Apple TV and on YouTube. As always, thank you very much for your kind company. Have a good night.